Snowflakes are made by tiny particles in the air. It could be dust. And water vapor freezes around these particles and it grows into what we know as a snowflake, those patterns. Those patterns are kind of like the patterns of our lives, each unique, but a lot of times they can be formed around a tiny speck of something called shame. Shame is the thing that we defend against most. And I mean, sometimes that's how rage baiting works. I can prick you where I know you feel shame. But the reason why I'm making that point about the snow and the patterns of our lives is that we can construct our entire lives around shame. Our entire lifestyle can be a defense against the shame that we initially felt. It doesn't matter if you're someone who's driven, ambitious, successful, or it doesn't matter if you're someone who's withdrawn, closed off, unsuccessful. Both of these people battle with shame. And both of these types of responses can be responses to shame. Now, with regards to the successful person, I'm not saying that shame is totally a bad thing. You can use it positively. And shame, believe it or not, does actually have a positive use. According to Ethicen, shame is a pro-social emotion. It's something that is strong enough, it gives us a strong enough feeling for us to be able to recognize it and to adjust ourselves to reconcile with community. That's what it's supposed to be for. But as I'm sure we've all felt, shame can become toxic. It can go from when I've done something wrong to I am just inherently something wrong. I'm unfixable. It's unsolvable. I deserve to just not be here, perhaps. And that idea of not being here doesn't necessarily mean self-deletion. Sometimes we delete ourselves by the very life we build around shame. And that's why in the book, it says one day you realize everything you tried so hard to be was a denial of everything that you are. I think when a lot of people speak about coming out, we think of the LGBTQ plus community. And that may be true, but I also think there's a lot we can learn from people who've gone through that coming out process. Because there comes a time where you have to admit to yourself who you are and what you are and what your real desires are. And for you to do that, you also have to acknowledge what life you've built that's not in alignment with that. And you also have to go and admit to the people who are in the constellation of that lifestyle that, hold on a minute, this constellation is all wrong. This is not really who I am. This is where my real gravity lies. And you also have to have faith that that gravity of the real you is enough to form its own constellation. That's a brave thing. That's something deep. That's something that it's not a light decision to make. And it's also something that I feel like a lot of people don't want to take that risk to do, because it is risky. By the time you realize this is who I am, this is what I want, you might be married, you might have children, you might have established yourself in a religion, in a philosophy or a way of life. People know you, people expect a certain thing from you. And the more we interact with people, we develop these invisible contracts. Like, this is me, my name is XYZ, this is what I believe, this is how it's okay to treat me, and this is what you can expect from me. So for me to rewrite that contract or break that contract even, it's gonna feel like I'm breaking the law. And I've got to be prepared for that backlash, for people to call me a hypocrite, or for people to not be fond of this new way of being. Like I say in the beginning of the book, becoming somebody you're proud of is not about becoming somebody else. It's about excavating yourself from falsehood, getting rid of everything that's not you, experiencing yourself more fully. And to do that, you have to get in touch more with yourself. And that's why in a part of the book, I also say, when you put yourself out there, when you touch a new thing, when you experience new people, you experience new parts of the world, you think you're experiencing that thing, But what you're actually experiencing is yourself through a new medium. So it's impossible, I would argue, to find yourself if you're constantly in the same rotation. How you have to disrupt the pattern. And you find this in therapy sometimes. In order to break certain cycles or certain habits, a seemingly unrelated aspect of their life needs to change. They've got to come away from that old person, from those old patterns. So just going back to shame, the voice of shame is something that I speak about in the book. The constant indictments of your unworthiness is something that all, or many of us at least, live with. Any chance that you mess up, anytime you're not perfect, anytime that you might be contrary to how you'd like to portray yourself, that voice is telling you you're no good. That voice is telling you you don't deserve to be here. That voice is telling you, listen, it's time to pack it up, man. You might as well just hide under that rock that was comfortable for you all these years. My encouragement is to not listen to that voice, because that voice is not your friend. What's on the other side of that voice is everything you've been hoping for. What's on the other side of that voice is hope. What's on the other side of that voice is the you that you didn't think was possible. And that voice isn't necessarily evil either. A lot of times, these restrictive, protective voices, which actually end up being a prison, were initially there to protect us. Shame, as I said earlier, even has its protective factor. But especially as we get older, we have to start reparenting ourselves. We have to start giving ourselves permission to not walk in shame. As I mentioned in the book, when you hold your own head high, you also raise the heads of those who are around you. So it's imperative that you carry yourself with a sense of pride, that you don't give up on yourself, because you're also touching the lives of those around you, whether you know it or not. You see, if you withdraw and hide away and all that stuff, shame is one. And you're modeling to other people who feel the same shame you do what response to give it. You're modeling what's possible to them. So if they already feel like giving up and they see you giving up, what does that leave them? I hope this doesn't feel like I'm putting the weight of the world on your shoulders, but what I really want to do is convey how much gravity is in your decisions. Like, you choosing to be at your best it's more than you, it's beyond you. The world needs you, whether you know it or not, and you have something to give. And I'll give you an example of developing one's life around shame, which I'll probably speak more about because I've got plenty of examples of those. But even writing, like, I always loved writing when I was growing up, but at a certain point it felt like, well, what's the point? It's just, I'm not really doing anything. Like, some people out there, they can make a chair with their bare hands. Some people can weld metal, some people can play a sport, can do this, can do that. What is a writer? And that's how I would speak about something that I was really quite fond of. So what did I do? I stopped writing. That means there's people who enjoy what I write. There's people who get something from the things that I say. But I was ashamed to make that my thing. And when you listen to people like Alan Watts, I used to like Alan Watts. He was a speaker. He was like a blend of Buddhism, I believe it was, and Christianity, like both East and West. Even though Christianity is not necessarily a West thing, but hey ho. He blended the two. And in one of his talks, he was saying, why do you do this thing? Why do you get up here and speak and give these talks? And he just said, because I dig it. Why do you need anything more than that? There is a story which is in Good Magic, which I am very excited to share. But I would love for you to read it and tell me what you think about butterflies. And it speaks to not needing a reason to be, to exist as yourself. It speaks of the magic that is within you when you simply allow yourself to spread your wings. My intentions with this book is to encourage every person who is on their upward spiral, and even people who have hit rock bottom, to become the best versions of themselves, whatever that looks like to you. Perch.